Whoa, I bought a lot of GameCube stuff since the last GameCube collection update. Let's get into it. For those of you who are new to the channel, this series is where I give you an update on the GameCube collection. As many of you know, I am going for a complete North American Black Label set of retail released games, and I'm trying to complete that set at under 50% market value in terms of what I spend out of my own pocket to show that it can be done. And you're going to want to be sure to stick around at the end of the video because I've got some very interesting numbers to share with you. But throughout this video, I'm going to show you all of the games that I've got since the last update, including some that I got off camera. So let's jump right in. So every year at the beginning of August, there is a giant yard sale known as the Highway 127 yard sale, and this spans all the way from Alabama to Michigan. Tons and tons of just outdoor flea markets set up, yard sales set up, hundreds and hundreds of miles every single year for an entire extended weekend. And I usually hit it up every year. As a matter of fact, last year me and Chris hit it up together. We did a video, we found some pretty cool stuff. Well, I hit it up again this year, but I didn't film. And I wasn't expecting to find any GameCube games to add to the collection, but shockingly, I found two that I needed for the collection, and those two games are Backyard Sports Baseball 2007 and SpongeBob SquarePants Lights Camera Pants. Now, the awesome thing about these games, Backyard Sports Baseball 2007 is actually a shockingly pricey game. I got it for 20 bucks complete. SpongeBob SquarePants Lights Camera Pants I got for $1 complete. The next stack of games I actually got from my good friend Andy, also known as Pac-Man Case on YouTube. Link to his YouTube channel in the description down below. Be sure and check it out. I got a pretty nice stack of GameCube games from him for a fantastic price right before we headed off to Little Rock, Arkansas to go to the Arkansas Retro Expo, and those games are Disney's Hide and Sneak, KO the Kangaroo Round 2, Tony Hawk Underground 1 and 2, Evolution Worlds, and Phantasy Star Online 3. On the way to the Arkansas Retro Expo, me and Andy hit up the Video Game Corner, which is the game store owned by Austin, who is the guy that owns and runs Southeast Game Exchange. We decided to hit it up. It is in northern Mississippi, and I got two games that I needed from there, and those two games are Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon 2 and one of the worst GameCube games ever made, Trigger Man. Now, while at the Arkansas Retro Expo, I was actually vending. One of my goals was to sell some stuff from my personal collection at the vendor table, take some of that money and get some banger GameCube games, and boy did I achieve that. So there was a guy walking around the convention with a backpack, and in his backpack he had some pretty expensive games, and I actually managed to buy two of these games from him using profits from the convention, and those two games are Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures and Pokemon Coliseum. And both of those games were in mint condition. But not only that, Andy had a GameCube game at his side of the booth that he was selling that I didn't buy earlier because it was a little bit too expensive. It's actually a pretty pricey game. I was able to buy this from Andy using profits from the convention as well, and that game is Tube Slider. And then lastly, I still had some money left over from selling some stuff at the convention, so I walked around the convention floor and I bought two more games complete in box at the Arkansas Retro Expo, and those two games are WWE Crush Hour and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Battle Nexus. Now, while we were in Little Rock, we couldn't be in the Little Rock area without visiting Retro Rick's game store, which is Retro Rick's Game Point. So we stopped by there, and he actually had 3 GameCube games in stock that I needed, and they were actually really reasonably priced, a little bit below price charting. I was shocked to see Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow, NBA 2K2, and Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. So the next stack of games are all games that I picked up while at Retropalooza in Dallas, Texas, and those games are Rugrats Royal Ransom, Avatar The Last Airbender, Fireblade, Pro Rally, Harvest Moon A Wonderful Life, Bomberman Generation. And then the GameCube oddity that I found at Retropalooza and I got for a great price is this Star Fox Adventures Air Freshener, still sealed in the packaging. I was very happy to find that, and for a reasonable price. But wait, that's not all from Retropalooza. While at Retropalooza, something really cool happened. Retro Rick was there. He was walking around filming, and he was actually doing something really cool as a YouTube short idea, and he was walking up to people at the convention, asking them to show him the amount of battery percentage left on their phone, and that's the amount of money they get from him to immediately spend at a booth to buy something. So I was one of the people that he picked for that, and my battery percentage was like 72% or something like that. And of course, I used that prize money to get 2 GameCube games I needed, and Rick even negotiated the vendor down a little bit, which was pretty cool. So those 2 GameCube games I got for free are Rave Master and The Sum of All Fears. All right, so the next stack of games I got from an event that takes place in the Atlanta area called Charlie's Collectible Show. Every month they have a retro game vendor day where a bunch of vendors in the local area come up and they sell retro games. So I went there, and my goal was to try to see if I could trade my way to some GameCube games, and we did a video on that. I'll leave a link in the description down below, and I actually achieved my goal, and I walked out of there with 3 awesome GameCube games through trading Star Fox Assault, F-Zero GX, and this game was actually a gift from a viewer of the channel that was there at the convention, and that is Legends of Wrestling 2. Alright, next up, as a lot of you may be aware, I recently bought a $14,000 game collection. Well, a game collection that's worth around $14,000. I didn't pay anywhere near that for the collection, just to clarify that. There was a GameCube game in this collection that I didn't have, and I decided to keep. So that GameCube game is Luigi's Mansion. The next game I got from my good buddy Travis Wood over at Woodman Classics. I met up with him to do some filming in the Knoxville, Tennessee area. He had a stack of GameCube games. I wanted to buy the whole stack. I couldn't. More on that later, but I did buy 1 game from him, and he gave me a great price, and that game is Beautiful Joe Red Hot Rumble. Not too long ago, I went to Columbus, Ohio to go to the Great Ohio Toy Show, which is one of the, actually it's the only toy show I've ever been to, but it blew my mind. We did 2 videos on that one, but I had to walk away with at least 1 GameCube game. So I did find at least 1 GameCube game I needed for the collection, and I went ahead and snagged that, and that game is Star Wars Jedi Outcast Jedi Knight 2. While I was in town, I actually stayed with Matt Furman, who is part of the Retro Gaming Pandemic crew. Stayed at his place, and he had a bunch of, just a big pile of stuff that he was planning on, either he was planning on selling at some point or trading. Shockingly, he had a random GameCube game in this pile of stuff that I did not have, and he actually gave it to me for free. So Matt Furman, if you're watching this, dude, thank you again for that. And that game is Muppets Party Cruise. I went to a convention in the Nashville area called Music City Multicon, which is sort of like a big pop culture convention, but they had some video game vendors, some toy vendors, and I managed to find 2 GameCube games I needed for the collection, as well as something I wasn't expecting to find, and we'll get to that. But first, let me show you the 2 GameCube games I got at Music City Multicon. Got a great deal on both of these: Freestyle Metal X and Need for Speed Underground 2. Now, what is the oddball thing that I got that I was not expecting to find? Well, it's behind me on the shelf, so let me grab it and then I'll tell you about it. I managed to find the big box version of MC Dance Craze. I've never seen this in person before. I've never seen it in the wild anywhere. I was not expecting to find this. It is complete. It's got the pad, the instructions, the game, and everything. Really Rad Weekend is one of my favorite conventions of the year. It is in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. But I walked away from that convention with a lot more GameCube games and other GameCube items than I was expected. So besides going for a complete North American set, I'm also collecting Japanese GameCube games complete in box as I run across them. One of them I bought from Marcello, aka GameCube Galaxy, Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix, the Japanese version. Now, beyond that, I had a guy that came by the table. He was like, "Hey, I got some stuff I'm interested in trading." I'm like, "What do you got?" He's like, "Well, I got some Japanese GameCube games and some other stuff." Well, I might not be interested in trading, but I'd like to see your Japanese GameCube games. I might be interested in buying them. So he pulled out 4 Japanese GameCube games that I did not have, all complete, and he sold them to me for $10 a piece. Wave Race Blue Storm, Mario Party 6, and Donkey Konga 1 and 2. Now, the cool thing is I now have almost every single Mario Party game on the GameCube, the Japanese versions. I have 1 more to get. I can't remember which one, but I have 1 more to get. I now have all 3 Japanese Donkey Konga games because in Japan, there was actually a Donkey Konga 3 that was a Japanese exclusive, which I have. So now I have the whole series. Beyond the Japanese games, I also got a very large stack of banger GameCube games, many of which are rare and expensive. And I was able to get all these GameCube games without spending a dime of my own money because I decided to sell my Wii collection. Resident Evil Code Veronica X and Mega Man X Command Mission. Now, Resident Evil Code Veronica X I actually got from Scott Squatch And then Mega Man X Command Mission I got from the other guy that was selling games at Scotch Squatch's booth. I apologize. I forgot your name and the name of your store. Sorry about that. Ed, and Eddie, the Miss Ed Adventures. I actually got that one from Adam, aka the Retro Beard, the guy that sells all the awesome signs. Really good friend of mine. He hooked me up with this for a great price. We're circling back around to Woodman Classics. He was vending with Adam at Really Rad Weekend, and he brought the remainder of that stack of GameCube games that I mentioned earlier that I could not buy at the time. And my goal at Really Rad Weekend while vending was to sell enough Wii games to pay for this stack of games. And when you see the stack, you're going to understand why this was a challenge, because these are some expensive games. Most of them are. Pikmin 2, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, WarioWare, Spirits and Spells, Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 Plus, which is the extremely rare version of the game on the GameCube, and lastly, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, which now completes the Resident Evil set on the GameCube. So, shout out to Woodman Classics for that awesome stack of GameCube games, which, by the way, Woodman Classics also has a YouTube channel, very new YouTube channel. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Be sure and check it out. The final item I got at Really Rad Weekend is not even a game, but it is a GameCube oddity, a GameCube collectible that, to be honest, I didn't even know that this existed. And it was not cheap, but I still had profits left over from selling Wii games, so I was able to snag it without spending any money out of pocket. Nintendo Power Mario and Yoshi Super Mario Sunshine figure set, still on card, sealed and on card. Their sticker price was $350. I was able to negotiate them down to $300, and this thing is beautiful. I've since then found out that there is a Luigi's Mansion one and a Samus one from Metroid Prime that are both way more expensive than this one. All right, folks, the moment you've all been waiting for. It is time to get to the numbers. I have a total of 446 Black Label retail release GameCube games, which means I have 105 games left to get for the set that I am going for. My plan is to get 5 more games before the end of the year, which is now. So by now, I should have at least 5 more games to where I have exactly 100 games left to get. So the theme of 2024 is going to be the road to that final 100 GameCube games, because my goal is to complete the collection by the end of 2024. The estimated rough value of my GameCube collection so far is $10,525. The total amount that I've spent out of my own pocket, out of my own income, outside of, trades and deals and good finds and selling stuff and using the profit, I've spent $3,949, which means that is a savings of $6,576, which means I've spent around 38% market value thus far in this journey. So I'm well below that 50% goal. Let me know if you have anything cool to say about any of the GameCube games that I picked up recently, and let me know your thoughts about how I'm doing so far on the collection. And it's time to start a new year. So Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you all had a great Christmas, and I hope you all are going to have a great 2024.